Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. I'm most excited about this segment, joined by one of the brightest minds in all of college football, myself. Joel Klatt.
I was going to say, I'm looking around. I'm like, who are we talking about?
Klatt, I can't wait for this one. Now, I got to be honest. I think the college football playoffs are based off of a lie.
Why is that? You got to tell me. When you said, I heard you before, so please outline what the lie is.
I could tell you again, but I could better tell you by showing you what I showed the world roughly 30 days ago. Let's roll it. See, the reason that Georgia made the playoffs is because we thought Georgia was great. But why did we think Georgia was great? Because of SEC bias. You see, Georgia beat Arkansas when Arkansas was ranked number 8. But by the end of the season, Arkansas had 4 losses at 8-4. They're not in the top 20. Georgia beat Kentucky when Kentucky was ranked number 11. But by the end of the season, Kentucky had 3 losses. They're not in the top 20. Georgia beat Auburn when Auburn was ranked number 18. But by the end of the season, Auburn had 6 losses, 6-6. They not even ranked. So is Georgia one of the 4 best teams in college football? Maybe, but we were going to believe so either way. Klatt, I think SEC bias is real. At first, it was an opinion I got criticized, scrutinized, ostracized for. But then bowl season, SEC's 1-4 in bowl games. Florida lost to UCF. Army beat up on another team. And then you got Houston beat up on, who was? I know Mississippi State lost to Texas Tech.
They lost bad.
SEC just got their first win. SEC bias, is it real or is it not?
Okay. There is an issue with people believing that an entire conference can ride on the coattails of 2 or 3 great programs. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens with the SEC. So the SEC has had the best teams in college football for over a decade. Mm-hmm. And you can't argue with that. That's just irrefutable. The evidence has been there through into the BCS era, the college football playoff era. They have the best teams at the top.
Thank you.
The problem is that at the middle and the bottom of the conference, they're not as dominant or as good as people believe that they are. And generally, the people that are shouting about the SEC and the greatness of that conference overall are those teams. The ones that need the coattails of Alabama and need the coattails of Georgia and need the coattails of LSU when LSU was winning a national championship under Joe Burrow, or using the coattails of Auburn and Cam Newton, or using the coattails of Tim Tebow and Florida. But the problem is that it never really pans out in terms of the overall conference being as dominant as everyone would like to suggest. Now, having said all of that, I think to be the best, you got to beat the best. Mm-hmm. And so until someone comes along and actually starts winning national championships at a clip similar to the SEC, that this is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Correct.
Because the fact of the matter is that it's not going to change. We're not going to all of a sudden say, hey, Georgia, you were undefeated until Alabama beat you, and so we're just not going to put you into the playoff. Because the problem with your rant there about Georgia is, who was supposed to go?
Fair, but if you answer my question with the question, then nobody ends up answering my question. I can give you a statement, however. Right. Remember when Georgia, and again, I do think Georgia was one of the top 4 teams, because I also think I believe the lie. I'm not saying that I am immune to the lies that we are fed. I'll say a couple things. Georgia beat Auburn, and that was so meaningful. But Auburn just lost to Houston in the bowl game. Well, Missouri, they're a really good team. Missouri's sitting there at 7-6, if I'm not mistaken. They're middle of the pack, SEC, lower pack by some metrics. But Missouri loses to Army in the bowl game. Okay, Mississippi State. Mississippi State is 4-4 in the SEC, Klatt. Texas Tech is 3-6 in the Big 12. Texas Tech is the 9th best Big 12 team out of 10 teams. Missouri is the 8th best SEC team out of 14 teams. But Texas Tech slapped Missouri all the way around.
It did.
Let me make my statement is this, and I can't wait to hear from you, and I also can't wait to hear from y'all. College football is built off a false premise.
Okay.
The premise is this. The SEC is better from top to bottom. When you beat an SEC team, it means more. When you lose to an SEC team, it doesn't mean that much. The SEC started the year with, I think, 5 teams in the top 25, maybe 6. They ended the year with only 5. They started the year with 3 teams in the top 5 or in the top 8. They ended the year with only 2. So if you start with SEC teams being great, then when you beat an SEC team, it means too much. That's my problem. So you're right. SEC teams have always been the best. But isn't it because we started with a false premise that SEC teams are the best?
I mean, listen, the records are what they're going to be. And when Texas Tech beats a Mississippi State, then you can start having the debate. Hey, was Mississippi State as good as we thought that they were? Is the middle of the conference, is Auburn as good as we thought that they were? So on and so forth. You could have this conversation about the Big Ten, by the way, because the Big Ten seems to have been very good right in the middle. The middle of the Big Ten seems to have had very competitive teams. The problem is that when you start to extrapolate this out and then you see a champion at the end of the year, and that champion generally ends up being an SEC team, and then you move to the NFL draft, that's when it's really imprinted in everybody's mind. Why? Is because all the players that are going to the NFL generally come from the SEC. And the Big Ten kind of, but mostly the SEC. So when all the talent is there, they're winning all the championships, this narrative is going to perpetuate. Now, the fact that Mississippi State and Auburn and some of these other teams ride the coattails of that, that's the frustrating part for all of us in college football, but I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. Let me just give you a quick stat.
Please do.
Georgia, who you were saying, hey, maybe they weren't as good as we thought they were. Did you know that just on the defensive side of the football alone, just the defensive side, they had 9 players in their two deep that were recruited as 5-star athletes? 9. Just to give you a sense of how many that is, just the defense. The entire Pac-12 conference this year had 9 players that were recruited as 5-star athletes. That's why the SEC gets the benefit of the doubt, is because they generally have the better players and they generally have the champion. And that's why this narrative will continue.
All these great players and you're 1-4 in bowl games so far. Anyway, Klatt, let's talk about a team that we sure make some noise, at least a guy who made some noise this year. Jim Harbaugh finally got the monkey off his back. He started 0-5 against Ohio State. You cover Michigan and Ohio State more than anybody else in all of college football. But Harbaugh, he was in the hot seat, so much so he took a pay cut, if I'm not mistaken, sliced his salary in half from $8 million to $4 million, something I will never do. Sliced his salary in half from $8 to $4 million. Is he off the hot seat? How much time? How much time did he buy himself?
That's as much time as possible. You know, this narrative that Jim Harbaugh has underachieved as a coach is one of the most false narratives in all of football, any level. Jim Harbaugh has done nothing but succeed everywhere that he's been. I get called a Harbaugh apologist, and fine, if you want to label me a Harbaugh apologist, you're going to have to label me a Harbaugh apologist. This guy has won 726 is his winning percentage at Michigan with the 7 years that they had previous to where he was. That is such a step up, it's not even funny. He went to the University of San Diego, and he took a team that was absolutely nothing, and he took them to an 11-win conference champion. He goes to Stanford, a team that was absolutely nothing. 1 win, 2 wins, 0 wins. What did he do? He took them to the BCS. He took them to the place where they had Heisman Trophy finalists almost every single year with guys like Toby Gerhardt and Andrew Luck. Then what did he do? He went to San Francisco. He took a team that was a middling of the pack NFC football team. And what did he do? He immediately started going to NFC championship games and ultimately went to a Super Bowl, losing to his brother John in the Super Bowl against the Ravens. So what does he do? He goes back to his alma mater, Michigan, which was in Siberia of college football. 7 years under Rich Rodriguez and Brady Hoke. They were nothing. In fact, only one time during that entire 7 years were they ranked inside the top 10. One time in 7 years. We're talking about the University of Michigan. Guess what Jim Harbaugh has done? He's won 726 win percentage. He's gone to a playoff. He's won 10 games multiple times, and he's been in the top 10 at some point in 5 of his 7 seasons. He has succeeded. I don't understand this notion. What is he supposed to do? Be Nick Saban? No one's been Nick Saban. Right? So everyone says he's got an Ohio State problem. So does the entire Big Ten. Who is beating Ohio State? Because the last time I checked, the first time Ohio State lost a conference game with Ryan Day as their head coach was in the big house with Jim Harbaugh on the other side. So Jim Harbaugh has succeeded, folks. He's one of the most successful coaches across any level of football that we've ever seen. And all you haters are just going to have to know the truth and respect it, because this guy can coach himself some football.
I got to go to break after that, but I'm not going to because I still have several more questions. I do know this much. Beyond everything you just told me, I know where the other $4 million of Jim Harbaugh's salary went, because you must be on payroll. Anyway, that was phenomenal. I do have this truth.
I'm a truth sayer. I heard you talking about that earlier. I'm just here to bring you facts.
Everything, though, Klatt, is relative. Everything in life is relative. So we think that Jim Harbaugh, I think, is underachieved because we had a higher level of expectation. We assumed, at least I did, that Michigan should be the same as Ohio State. Now, historically speaking, Michigan is not Ohio State, but because of the brand, because of the prestige, we all said that Michigan should be as good as Ohio State. From this point forward, do you anticipate it being a level playing field? Because I don't think it's fair to say, well, nobody can beat Ohio State in the Big Ten. Michigan, you ain't everybody else.
Michigan did something that was unique in that they beat a team in which they didn't have necessarily the talent to beat because no one's been recruiting on the level of Ohio State. Only Alabama, maybe Clemson and Georgia have been recruiting on the level of Ohio State. It's going to take that over the course of multiple years. This year was unique in some sense. I don't think that this is going to all of a sudden spur some sort of revolution where now Michigan rolls off 5 straight victories, although you never know, because in this day and age with the transfer portal, with how quickly things can go up and down, maybe this is going to be a resurgence for Michigan. All I know is that this team is special, and Jim Harbaugh is the leader of this team.
Okay, just how special are they? We got the 4 biggest teams, the 4 best teams left, the 2 biggest games in college football. We got Cincinnati, we got Bama, we got Michigan, we got Georgia. You just finished talking up Michigan. I know you did not blow up that whole balloon to just pop it. Michigan, Georgia, what you got? Let me get a prediction. Let me get one. I don't need a score.
I think Michigan's going to win. I think that Georgia does not have enough on the offensive side. And one of the things that no one talks about, because all they think is like Michigan's this running game, it's all about power football. And yes, it is. But do you know that they actually had the most 50-yard plays or more than anybody in college football? So it's actually one of the most explosive offenses in the sport, led by Cade McNamara and their great offensive play caller, Josh Gaddis, who was the Broyles Award winner. That's the best assistant in college football. He's a great play caller, and he's going to mix in those wrinkles to get explosive plays. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be the best player on the field. I think that Michigan wins. On the other one, I think Cincinnati is going to play really well.
Oh, come on, Klatt. You don't win.
Bama,
you don't make money by playing well, Klatt. You make money by winning games.
You also don't make money betting against Nick Saban. That just doesn't happen. 6 of 12 national championships. Bama's going to win that game, but watch for Sauce Gardner. He's a first-round draft pick at the corner position, and Kobe Bryant. He was the Thorpe Award winner at the other corner position because Cincinnati actually matches up pretty well against Bama's passing game. That's a great matchup to watch. But, folks, it's Alabama. You didn't think Cincinnati's just going to roll in here and be like, hey, look at us. We're under. Hey, man, look at us. We're gonna beat Alabama. That ain't happening.
Oh, man. Well, what's greater to watch than both of these games is you talking about ball, Klatt.
I appreciate you having me.
Hey, I need you to do one thing for me.
What's
Can
that?
you spin this? Because I never can spin it well before I go to break. Can you give me like an adequate. That's why he plays offense, y'all. That's why he plays offense. Joel Klatt, the one and only.